Heyo Magic fans and turtle heads, this is Sebastian of Bastion Altars, and I'm going to share with you my favorite art from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. If you're chronically online like me, you've probably seen a lot of complaining about all the pizza art or whatever. I'm going to set all of that aside for the other online arenas. I'm here to focus on the radical art from the set. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm an altarist, so I use physical mediums like acrylic paint, and I alter or extend the art of cards in my collection. I also do commissions for peeps who want to change up their cards. I'm going to quickly share a UB hot take or theory about Universes Beyond is that when Wizards of the Coast acquires new art for cards, they don't have access to all the style guides of the IP they're working with. And sometimes this creates almost a generic, uncanny valley art style, especially with the digital art, that doesn't inspire players. But I find that the really stylized cards dodge this pitfall and are the real heroes of Universes Beyond art. So, let's get into it. Alright, here we have Last Ronin's Technique. This is a white card. I've read the Last Ronin graphic novel and I really enjoyed it. I think the kind of like blues, ethereal nature of our brothers in the back here, I think they're really cool. All the headbands kind of in this grasp is a really dramatic moment. It does occur in the graphic novel and it's meaningful. We definitely see a lot of emotion on this face here, and I just think this card is really cool. I think it is definitely stylized. We've got all the kind of brothers' weapons in here as well. Everybody is all in here. It's kind of playing into that we don't know who the last turtle thing is, which everyone played up as a really great part of the graphic novel, but I think ultimately it didn't matter who the turtle was. The graphic novel was kind of the same no matter who it was, and all the impacts were just as strong. Alright, here we have Shredder's Revenge, and poor Splinter is getting it rough right now, but I really like the lines that this is creating. Kind of the silhouettes of these turtles is drawing the eye to Shredder, right? Or is it drawing it to the pizza? Who knows, right? Anyway, the detail work on these shells is kind of like really reminiscent of the live action movies had a lot of this kind of like shell detail and texture, and it works really well because they're in the foreground. So in the foreground, you're going to have a lot of textures on things, and then in the background, right, we're going to have things have little to no texture, right? Just be shapes and blocking off space. So I think they did a great job with the textures in the rim lighting. Looks very dramatic, right? Shredder looks right. He's got some mean thighs in this one, right? And he's all buffed up like crazy. This one looks like they're about to have a final showdown. It just looks really intense, really awesome. Going in with Shredder again, we've got Shredder's Technique. And the contrast between this blue and these reds, these pinkish magentas, this is really strong and really eye-catching, right? But they did a really good, amazing job, really, with all these lines. So even though your eye would be drawn to all these separations of the contrast, these lines are pulling your attention into the central figure, into this Shredder, right? Which is just great. Compositionally, this is just an amazing piece, and the color work and everything. This is, like I said, one of those super stylized pieces that are holding up the UB sets. Stuff like this really draws the eye in. We see these strong lines here too, creating like a swipe attack. We've got the ninjas, the throwing stars coming right at you with that perspective. I just love this card. I think this is one of my favorite arts from the set. Mutant Chain Reaction, we just got another feast when it comes to all these strong lines here. Your eye is darting all over the place with this piece, right? Just incredible. But everywhere you look, no matter where you look, something cool is happening. The background, it's just very subtle. Like, it's definitely like feeling like reptilian, right? Or amphibian or something like that. Kind of with the bright green splotches of color against the darker green. It's definitely giving scales or almost like an eyeball because of the shape. I really love this art, and this is what I'm saying. Whenever we have something like crazy stylized, it just looks so awesome. All the posing is really strong too. Like, this is incredible work. I love this card. All right, Shredder Shadow Master. If you're wondering why I was bringing up the thighs in the other Shredder card, it's because I absolutely love this card. I just think this Shredder might be skipping leg day is all. I also think that they could have just zoomed out a little bit so we got a little bit of the tabard kind of look, right? Because right now it looks like he's just kind of wearing swimsuit bottoms. So when I think of Shredder, this is the pose. The crossed arms, that's what I think of when I think of Shredder. I love the flow of this cape. It's very dynamic, right? The stars in the cape, like, oh, come on. That's just so cool. All of our background figures, they're all making cool poses. They're all looking very ninja-esque, very gorgeous. And I love that the whole thing is just done with these purples and these shades of blues for the most part. We've got these little bits of like rim lighting just to make sure that our ninjas here don't blend in with the background, that they pop out. And that's done to really good effect. This is among the top cards I want to alter. Big Apple 3 AM. Oh, this card I've gone back and forth. At first I really liked it, and then I kind of didn't like it as much, and then I liked it a lot again. So what I first see is this perspective is so intense, in a good way, an amazing way. The lines are drawing your eye so incredibly towards the brightly lit city, right? I thought that was really awesome, and I still do think that's awesome. But then I started thinking, well, what is it drawing our eyes to? A big crane and the bright lights of the city, right? And I thought possibly could be something more interesting to draw our eyes to. As I thought about it, the main thing is it's 3 a.m. and we've got so much brightness contrasted with the dark of the night. And I think that's what the card is really conveying. That New York city that never sleeps vibe, and it's really cool. All this trash here, part of me is like, I don't want to see a bunch of trash on my magic art, but it's New York and it's really tying into that feel, right? The contrast between this trash and then this like beautiful murals, this beautiful graffiti is such a representation of kind of like the duality of humans, right? We can make all this trash and all this crap, but then we can also make gorgeous, colorful, vibrant art. I end up really liking this card. I just think it's great. We have a lot of cards in the set that feature a lot of graffiti and they're kind of distracting your eye from everything else. But I think this one, the graffiti is part of like the main thing we're seeing. And since there's no like central figure, like we don't have like Splinter standing here, it's not distracting. The graffiti is kind of the central figure in a way. Next up, we have Wave Goodbye, and just look at Dontel. He's eyeing this pipe. He knows that his life depends on this pipe right now, right? The face, it's kind of got a bit of a derpy look to it. This card is just super stylized. A lot of people criticize UB, say there's no storyline to the set, but hey, we have a reoccurring character. This I don't know what his name is, Ratmeister, I think. There's some threads there. They definitely think about it. Maybe not as much story as we would like, but they definitely think about it. I like this wave. You can tell this water is just rushing, right? And then, we're conveying this very well in the art, the way this water is moving. I also like the kind of contrast between the bright of this brick and then kind of the dark of this water. We have a very strong light source, right? And Donatello is all lit up with rim lighting here. And like I said, this is just another piece where it's heavily stylized. And I think that just makes for great art, especially if some of the artists aren't as familiar with the IP or they don't have access to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style guides. All right, Assassin's Trophy. This is the second time we've conveyed Splinter in a rough situation. I think this card is really cool. Like I was saying, we zoomed out a bit more and we see this is, like a tabard, right? Instead of a swimsuit bottom. This Shredder also has, legs that are more proportional to the upper body, even though he's got the craziest lats I've ever seen, in a good way, non-derogatory. Shredder is just shredded, right? It's in the name. I love green mist everywhere. I always love green mist. I always like painting this. So this would be a card I would be very drawn to painting. I love these light effects, right? So if I'm extending up here, there's definitely going to be some good guidelines of what's happening up here. It's not just going to be color in blue. It's going to be a lot of wires and lighting effects and a bunch of cool stuff. Even unaltered, I think this card is really awesome. The only thing is, I have a hard time seeing what Shredder is looking at. He's kind of like mogging the camera. He's like looking directly at us. So that's like the only thing. I think probably he should be looking more at Splinter here a little bit. But otherwise, I think the card is super cool. Alright, we've got Humongous Fungus. This card art is insane. I think I have no idea what's happening in the card, honestly, but I think that maybe this central figure is on a really bad trip and he's experiencing ego death as he becomes one with the world of the squirrels and the giant eyeballs and the ant, even the prehistoric dinosaurs that came before. Absolutely wild art. This would be a fun one to alter because the colors are just so vibrant, man. It's unbelievable how vibrant these colors are. I have no idea how you would do this with paint. This would be so difficult. This is one of the best use cases, like digital art. It's just hitting these crazy colors. It's a little bit goofy, a little bit campy, but I mean, it's in the Ninja Turtles set. If you can't be goofy in the Ninja Turtles set, where can you be goofy? Dragon Skull Summit. I like our helicopters. We're just shining light. We're not shooting this dragon at the moment, even though maybe it looks like he's pretty anguished, honestly. What I really like is this city in the background. It's very subtle, right? We don't see any like billboards like, hey, get your pizza slice, right? Even though, you know, I'm just memeing about the pizzas, but ultimately, I like the subtle city in the background because it doesn't distract from the main central figure, right? It's kind of funny because it's a land, right? So you'd think this would be your focus. I think compositionally, it works really well that this is our focus, right? Even if it's on a land card. And I think when we get a lot going on in the background, like a lot of neon lights and everything, it can be distracting from our central figure. This dragon is doing absolute work on this poor building. Hopefully there's nobody in there experiencing that. If they are, it's definitely going to be a very intense moment. I really like this card. Alright, this is going to be like a speed run. I like all these pixel cards. I think they're really cool. I think the posing, they chose pretty dynamic poses for most of the cards. So even though it's pixel art, it's fairly interesting. The backgrounds are a little bit simplistic, but it's definitely reminiscent of like a character select screen, right? We're selecting our characters. And I always like it when we have transparent text boxes. I think you can just get like a little bit more of that art, and I love the art of Magic cards, so whenever we get a little bit more, I really like it. We've got Donatello. I like the foreshortening of his staff there. He's looking really confident. He has a smirk, right? That he's like in his element here and he's ready to, you know, kick ass. Shredder, he looks absolutely beastly, right? And like I said, we've got a lot of good poses here, a lot of movement despite it being pixel art. It's very dynamic. Definitely filling up the space. The Shredder is probably one of my favorite ones. I like Shredder a lot, but also just the way his cape is filling up space, his legs, especially with his black background. We need the art to fill up space and be interesting. So I really like this one for sure. Raph, this might be my least favorite of the pixel art. I think they did a great job, like once again, with the perspective of this Jitte, and the expression is just so funny. He just seems like, oh man, let's get this over with so I can go eat some pizza or I can go play some video games. The shading of this is just a little bit funny. It almost looks like it's clipping a little bit, but I mean, with the pixel art, you only have so much colors to work with. I think the posing is good. One thing is, it's with kind of all the cards I haven't mentioned, but we've got this color like referencing which turtle it is, right? And then they all have their headbands the same color, so the headbands kind of start to blend in a little bit with this background. So maybe if they like did like a highlight around the character of white or just something so that our headbands weren't losing themselves in the background, I think that'd be really cool. But otherwise, I like all these pixel cards. Like I said, super combo, I think this one's really cool. I think, look at this. This is so like I don't even know what the word is. It's cute. It's cute. The nunchucks, this is like just a great pose for the nunchuck. This effect, it's so, you know, it's so Super Nintendo, it's so Sega Genesis, so arcade, right? But it looks really gorgeous. And like I said, just like with the Shredder, they filled up a lot of this card, right? And they even went through the effort of kind of giving it these additional animation effects, right? None of the other cards really have this for the pixel art. They filled up the card and it just looks great. And look, here we have this yellow, and even though our orange is kind of like has a lot of movement and you're not really seeing it as the headband as much, it doesn't blend right in because we have a little bit of contrast between that yellow and the orange. So I think that worked out well. Definitely not a turtle. This is just a great card. I really like the moodiness, right? We've got kind of like these glasses and that classic Invisible Man trench coat glasses combo. The lighting is just really gorgeous. We're kind of off center a little bit. This is one where, like I said, they could have been tempted to just add in like a bunch of signage and pizza and graffiti everywhere, but they kept it really simple, and I think it shines because of that. I really like this card. Ultra Monitor. This card is just crazy. I'm always a sucker for these teal colors. I just really like it. But it's not just the colors. We've got so many shapes, right? Lots of lines. We've got this kind of Krang brain central figure with a lot of movement. The eyes are kind of looking down on us, right? It's funny because like this character is not gigantic, right? It hangs out in a giant robot man to make itself bigger than it is, but yet it's like looming down and looking down upon us very imposingly, despite what we know to be its actual size. Otherwise, I really like the art. I really like what's going on back here. It just seems like this space stretches on forever, and the like economy of what's in the art and what you feel like is beyond the art, it just goes really hard. You're seeing all this stuff, but in your brain, you just feel like there's more, right? Turtle Track. This is really just a nice shot of the city, right? Got the bridge here. Was that the Brooklyn Bridge? I don't know. I'm not from New York. But the glow of the city, right? We've got like that light pollution, but we can still see the little bits of the stars up there, which is nice. The movement of the card, it doesn't really convey a lot of train movement right now, but maybe the train isn't moving at the moment. Although we do have our headband kind of getting some air. We have kind of this like glow happening, like the city is kind of like one with itself. It's all kind of contributing to this one whole. It'd be tempting, like I said, to go with like a lot of neon colors here, but I like the subtle nature of this card, and I think this is just an amazing way to portray the scene, the city, and have a lot of depth to the picture as well. Leonardo Leader in blue. Like I said, I think these ones where the turtles just seem so stylized, they just hit so hard. The shortening on this sword is great, right? It's coming right at us. Same with this Mauser that's getting absolutely trashed. The poses are extremely dynamic on this card. We've got the other turtles backing Leo up here, and they all look like they're really trashing into these Mausers as well. It looks like absolute chaos, right? We've got these lines here that are kind of drawing our eye inwards, and it's also conveying that, you know, we are in the sewer, right? I absolutely really like this card, and I think it's just cool. All right, classes and sagas, they always have this kind of like smaller vertical art, and they've done some really interesting things with it in the past, like the wood blocks from Kaldheim, but this might be one of my favorite sagas. I think they did just an amazing job. It's very stylized, like I said, and when these cards are stylized, they convey a unique appearance of the turtles, and I think it's really cool. Donatello is working on this machine. We get to see the verticality, right? Like they could have put this light like up here, right? We could have seen like just this, and then the light is at the very top shining down, but they didn't do that. They put the light like halfway in the scene, so we can see this is like a huge warehouse that Donatello is working at, right? So that implies that not only is the space very big, but this is very big, right? And it's kind of the humor of it is this machine is implied to be huge, and it's making, you know, a coffee, espresso shot, basically. So it's kind of got a bit of humor too. I think the card just looks beautiful, and they really did a lot with the small space that these enchantment slash not enchantment, these classes in sagas have. They don't have a lot of space, but I think the economy of what they did with this space was absolutely incredible. And once again, it's these stylized cards. They just look really good. Hey, back-to-back Donatello. You love to see it. I think this is such a strong baseline for the card. Like, you know what's up. No matter where your eye is, it's getting pulled into here right away. Right away. All the techniques, like I said, are really, really cool. I love all the colors here. These greens and these purples, these are like really classic contrasting colors here. Here we have it again. And we've got kind of like the techie symbology for Donatello. But all these lines, they're drawing you downward into the main central figure, and this is a good pose as well. Everything's cool here. The colors are cool, the posing is cool, the perspective is really cool. Just a fantastic art. No notes. Kitsune's technique. We have, what is this, Dark Leo here, and this card is looking so cool. All these effects here, this would be so hard to paint. Amazed by the work done on this card. I love the perspective, kind of like the lurking nature here, like rushing up. It's kind of like a devious, like underhanded thing to do, is to kind of like backstab someone like this, right? And I don't know all the lore implications, but I think this is the Dark Leo that's kind of on the Shredder and Dark Leo card, or I think so. Yeah, he's kind of doing kind of a dastardly sneaky move here, right? This is Kitsune's technique, so the technique must be to have this good defense even when it looks like you're not prepared. I don't know. Anyways, I just think the art is really cool. The flowing of kind of this Kitsune is really awesome. I like this card. I don't know. I think it'll get played for sure. Milling half the library is kind of crazy, right? Anyways, it's all about the art in this video, and I think the art is just fantastic. Metalhead. Oh, this is what I'm saying. All these really stylized pieces, they just look incredible. I don't think there's any denying it, really. So I think with the UB, they should just get people with really strong stylized work and just let them go crazy. Because every time we see something really strongly stylized, it just looks awesome. I really wish this was just a little bit more playable. This would be a really fun popper EDH commander. Man, I like the motion in this piece. I would like to alter and extend the art on this card so we could see more of this buzzsaw, but replicating this style would be very challenging. Just so stylized and so cool looking. All right, here we've got Armagon, Future Shark, and the intensity here. Look at Donatello's face. Like, he is going through it in this set. The imposing nature of this, like, gigantic creature is just intense. And, like, again, I like the city in the background. It's kind of subtle, right? No big crazy signs or anything to distract. This is what we should be focusing on, right? I will say, when I see this card, I don't even notice Donatello at first. First thing I see is like this, just this central mass of this huge crazy thing. You see all of these kind of like techno wires or implants or whatever's going on here. And this is kind of making the eye go over here-ish, right? I'd say eyes drawn to this bright spot in all these lines. So yeah, at first I don't even notice Donatello here. When you really stop and take a look at this piece, like everything just looks really interesting. It's like a feast for the eye, right? Like I don't even know what all this stuff is doing in the back, but I think it's really cool. Yeah, I just really like this card. I think the colors are so good. The sky, this is like, when I see a sky like this, I'm really drawn to extending it because I really just like softening our edges here, having fun with skies like that. This one is one I think I could alter pretty convincingly. I think it would look really cool. I don't think this one's going to be overly playable. 8 mana to destroy 3 target creatures, so hexproof gets around that. I think the art is really fantastic, and that's what this video is about. All right, this one may be kind of like silly at first glance, but I think, what is this, Central Park in New York? I think so. So we're featuring New York. We're featuring the setting quite well here, and we're doing it without it distracting from the character, right? So I like this because we have people complaining about going back to New York or whatever, but we can feature the city in a simple way that doesn't distract from the rest of the card. And I really like, once again, this green kind of like gassy mist. I always love that, and I think this character is posed really interestingly and really dynamically with these wings beating. It's got a lot of movement. I just think it's neat. All right, here we have Shark Shredder Killer Clone. I like this card because I think this one would be a fantastic one to alter. I like the original art, but I just like the lines that are happening. I feel like we can extend a lot of interesting things in this card, right? Make this like tentacle go over the top like this. So this one is kind of like a one for me. This is like a card I just think this would be a really fun time to alter and extend the art on. There's a lot going on, and sure, we're being drawn, of course, because it's not so much lines that are drawing us, but it's the excellent work of the difference of detail between the foreground and the background is what's really drawing our eye here. I really want to work on this card. All right, here we have Shredder. He's doing the Batman on the edge of the building, perched up. We've got the Foot in the background here, right? The Foot Clan. The rain is really striking, right? They did a great job with this rain. A lot of times with the rain, it's just like all the lines are like completely parallel, right? But we're actually framing Shredder really well with this rain because we've got these ones that are going like this. Then we've got rain here going like this, right? So what that is doing is it's drawing our eyes into the central figure. I know I say that a lot, but I'm trying to learn how to paint, right? Trying to learn how to create my own art. So I need to be aware of the tricks that these artists are doing to make their work look compelling. Also, we see the density of the rain, right? Here we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 streaks through here. Here we've got multiple streaks through here. But when we're looking at the main bit of Shredder, we see 1, 2, 3, debatably 4 streaks, right? And I know I didn't measure this out or anything, but we're seeing the rain heavily concentrated on the sides, and then we're allowed to see more of our main featured character. I think the posing on this cape is really nice, right? I think that the lighting effect, beautiful. And this is like a determination in the eye here. It's imposing. You definitely know that Shredder is on the lookout. He's not just posing to look cool. He is like focused. He is not blinking, and he is gonna get whatever he's after. Really like this card. And once again, Shredder is a favorite character of mine. Super Shredder. This looks incredible. Once again, I don't know where he is. He's in like an airport or something, but he's just tossing up the place. This poor guy seems to have lost his phone. It's intense. I think the foreshortening, right, is really good here. The absolute bulk that's going on in this character is wild, right? We just got like so much crazy musculature and like the eyes looking straight at you, right? In Assassin's Trophy, I say he looked a bit goofy, that he was holding Splinter, and yet he was looking at the camera. But this one, he's coming for you. Got the claw coming for you. His eyes are coming for you. Like, you've got to be pretty worried about this Super Shredder. My one thing, I would like if like these windows were like all blown out. I think that would have been cool. The extent of the damage going on is like a little tame, like, my chairs are flying around. Stuff should be in pieces. Like, this should be like rubble with this guy coming through. It just seems like things are kind of like askew, right? This guy's getting absolutely tossed. And I just think it's so funny that, like, is this another phone? The artist is like, but what's happening to their phones? Overall, I really like this Shredder. I think he could have been really tearing up the scenery a bit more. Definitely, like, there's a lot of motion. Things should be in pieces and absolutely destroyed, I think. Otherwise, beautiful card. Love it. Oh, here we have another pixel art. This is April O'Neil. I feel like a lot of the April art was kind of plain in this set. I think this might be, like, the most interesting April art in the set. She's kind of like making a bit of a pose here, right? You know, we've got the microphone, we've got the red hair, the yellow jumpsuit. I think this was probably the most interesting April art in the set, honestly. Let me know if you disagree, but I think this was like the best April art, frankly. All right, I'm not as familiar with the new Turtles, Jenica. I'm not really familiar with. I've read a bit about it, but seems really interesting. Like I said, these techniques, they all look cool. They're super stylized. They all look intense. The posing is great here, right? All the colors are fantastic. Excellent art. I don't really have much to say. I just love it, right? The angles all look really good. I like where we focused our detail, right? Main like shell and body is like, we're not focusing a lot of detail here because we have stuff that's more in the foreground, right? We've got these ribbons in the foreground. We've got the posing of the head is forward, so we've got a lot more detail in the head. When we get to these claws, right, in the back, they become kind of almost monocolor with just some highlights. And I think they really killed the depth of this piece. Amazing work. Mauser Foundry. I like the Mausers. I think they're cute. I think they're like iconic villains. They're always fun in like the video games. They're just nifty. We've got our lines here. We've got our machines. We're focused in kind of on this central figure. The other ones have their mouths closed. This one has its mouth open, right? We see kind of the little scanner here. I think the background, the purples, the reds, right? These are definitely drawing a lot of focus, all this red around, and then the blue is kind of like fading. They put a lot of effort into all this machinery and all this texture. When the eye is like focusing here in the center, they went all out with this art. I think it's really easy to underestimate this one, but I am drawn to this art quite a bit. Raph with the most attitude, really stylized. Look at this guy. Look at man. Incredible. But the posing here is so dynamic. The motion with the trench coat and the hat just being abandoned. We're out of hiding and we are going fast, right? The line of this train is really aligning with the perspective, right? We got our strong vanishing point here and everything. Look at this bright yellow kind of like do not cross train line and the pipe here, right? Like they are doing the most with this perspective to really give the motion here. And it's not just that, but the stylization of this turtle, right? This like hexagonal knee pad, the strong line on the shell here, the strong lines in here. It's so stylized, and the squarish kind of fingers, right? The hard edges. It's definitely a strong style, and whenever they have strong style, it just looks really good. That's my UB theory. Let the artists work in their style and do something incredible. Here we have Raph's technique. I like all the techniques. I don't know what to say. At first glance, this card, this face, it looks a little muddied, right? But, you look at it more and you really see like the absolute intensity, the skill gone in this. Look at the pink highlights on these arms, really kind of making it pop from the rest of this like really red and yellow background, right? It would have been very easy for this card to get muddy really quickly, but there's a lot of smart decisions made here to make everything pop out and look really good. The opacity part of this, how we can still see the shell, really incredible work. Love this card. I just think it's awesome. Wingnut, Bat on the Belfry. This is another one of those cards where I'm just impressed with the restraint to make the city not the star of the show, right? The city is there, but the star of our show is Wingnut, right? This bat. And I think they did a great job of that. I think it's kind of funny that we see so many of these water towers in these city pictures, right? I think, like, is there really this many water towers in New York, or am I just crazy? I don't know. But yeah, you always see those. I'm a big gargoyle fan, so I like this guy in the foreground. And yeah, the fact that the artist put this much detail on this gargoyle when it's not even the central figure, it's just awesome. And it definitely helps just pull the eye away from that city. That's not really our focus. We have a gorgeous sky here as well, but that's not the focus. We have our central figure, and I think it just does a great job. The central figure is kind of like a graphic novel or a cartoon, like a super detailed style. I really like this Wingnut. Yeah, I said it before, all the techniques are awesome. Look at this one. Here, we've got this triangle. In my mind, this is referencing pizza, and it's got pizza on it, right? But it's so subtle. We're not seeing like crazy cheese pulls everywhere, but we're definitely getting this like triangle symbology all over the place, right? I think Michelangelo is probably the turtle that likes pizza the most, and we've got a lot of that in the card without the card being all about pizza, right? But we've got all these triangles, these triangle motifs everywhere, and on this main triangle in the foreground, we have actual pizza. I think they just killed it with this style. The intensity in this face is just awesome. Really love the nunchucks right here. This one is, the chain is like lax, but we've got like really strong like motion here, right? I feel like the chain would be really tight if it was in motion, but it's kind of like abstract in that way, right? It's playing with these shapes that make you feel things, even if it's not what the card is actually portraying. Really like this card. I like Michelangelo. He's one of my favorite turtles. I just can't get enough of these techniques. They're heavily stylized and they just look great. New Generations technique. I don't know any of these characters. I'll just be honest. I don't know who these guys are. These guys, these gals. I like the card. I think the lines clearly are drawing us in so well, right? We are treated to, a very subtle cityscape, setting the scene without it becoming about the scene, like I've said. Is this a person or is this a water tower? Can't tell. Very good art. Love this one. All the techniques are great, but this is just another banger. All right, here we've got Dark Leo and Shredder. I really like this card. Leo is just doing Shredder's bidding here, right? I don't know what the lore implication, right, is. This is an alternate timeline. If this is like mind control going on with Leo here, I have no idea. This is an unexpected pairing and just kind of like the power balance between the two of Shredder just extending his hand and Leo jumping out to do his bidding. Yeah, it's really intense. This definitely feels like, what does it feel like? It feels like we're in like Shredder's condo and he's like, hey Leo, go get me a beer or something. I have no idea. This part is what really draws me in. I like Shredder in his little chair too, but it's all about like this. I think the posing on Leo is just incredible, and the amount of movement in this piece is fantastic, and I really like this art. Foot Ninjas. This is an interesting card. I really like the purples and blues. It probably looks really incredible next to the Shredder card that was all purple and blues as well. It is a common card, so it might find a home in one or two of my Pauper Commander decks. This is definitely in the top of the cards I want to alter. Like I said, working on these purples is difficult, but it's rewarding and it's good practice. I really like the posing on the ninjas. There's so many good poses in this set, and I just like kind of like the intensity. Once again, we've got these billboards, right? We've got these things that could be incredibly eye-catching, right, if they decide to go neon orange or something, but they stuck with this kind of limited color palette, and I think it really paid off on this card. I think they did an incredible job. Karai's technique, another technique card. All these technique cards are just awesome. Look at the intensity of Shredder's eye here, the intensity of Leo's mouth. I don't really know what the lore implications are, but Karai definitely seems to be an imposing, a very pivotal character to the plot, right? Having these two nemesises split between her like this. Very interesting. I love the detail on that blade as I cover it all up. It looks just really cool, right? You definitely see that Damascus. I think it's Damascus. The flow of the kind of the cape here, or the scarf, whatever this is, really nice. The pauldrons have a lot of detail, a lot of texture, right? Just like the sword, it like makes, because the sword is like this, it makes me feel like just a master artisan crafted these pauldrons too, that the artist put all this work into making those as detailed as they are, which implies that this character is, a master herself, really important, really powerful, well connected, right? I love all these splattering effects, the texture, all these little kind of almost pointillism dots here. This artist is just a master of texture and line work. I'm just blown away. Awesome art. Krang and Shredder. So a lot of Krang cards, he's in his like robot body, and that robot body, even back in the cartoons, always looked really goofy to me, right? So seeing Krang like this, it's a lot more imposing, and it just feels like really cool. The team up here is kind of like iconic, and I think the perspective of these like defeated characters is quite intriguing. It makes me wonder exactly what's going on here. Is this Casey Jones? I can't quite tell. It looks like the hockey mask. And then we've got these claws, which would kind of imply that's like a foot ninja that's been defeated here. It definitely has me wondering. The low perspective is really interesting because it makes the Krang so imposing, right? It's funny because this is like a moment where Shredder is doing like the come at me bro pose, and yet like I just can't stop focusing on how imposing this Krang looks. Very interesting. I like it. Skateboard. Just a lot of movement on this one. Here we've got the graffiti, but it's so subtle. It's not distracting at all. Imagine if this was all pink, right? Pink and like cyan and white and black in here. You would lose focus of what's going on. The artist did such a great job just framing this and keeping all your eyes in on this action, right? You know, one might be tempted to say this is like a low plane in here, but we are focused on the skateboard, right? Even our turtle is, you know, the low detail in the arms. His arm is in the background. It's not what we're focused on. We're focused on the skateboard, and the artist just did a fantastic job of pulling that focus. Like I've said before, I think it's stylized, and I think that's how you create art that resonates with people in these Universe Beyond sets. Foot Ninjas. So I think I have this entire like diorama in here. I just think it's just a great diorama, and I think it's the original comic artist that worked on it. I just love the density of the ninjas. They're taking up every inch of the space. In the background, we've got ninjas. Even if they're an outline with some eyes, just the density of the Foot Clan is awesome to see here. And then we've got Shredder, Unrelenting. This is probably my favorite Shredder art from the set. He just looks so dynamic. His posing is awesome. Love this card. So faithful to everything that I know about the Shredder, right? The number, even of the spikes, the 5 on the pauldrons, right? Just iconic Shredder to me. Leonardo, like I said, this whole kind of panorama, diorama is just awesome. And every inch of it is just covered in these foot ninjas. Awesome pose, kind of the comic book style hatching. Looks really good here. Donatello, he's looking good as well. Like I said, ninjas absolutely everywhere. I would frame this. I would frame this diorama. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I wouldn't have framed any of the Lord of the Rings dioramas, but this one looks incredible. Michelangelo looks good. Look at that nunchuck, right? The kind of spinning effect. You don't even need to put the chain. The chain is moving so fast, you don't need to put it. Just masterful. Then we have these silhouette treatments. Same thing. I think these ones are using kind of like well-experienced artists who have worked on kind of the IP, and I think it really shows. These once again, these silhouettes are very stylized, and the stylized art looks good. It's the way to go, truly. Donatello, he's looking good there. We've got our lines here, looking good. It's drawing us in, right? Like I've said before, a lot of times. Just that silhouette, it looks awesome. Super Shredder looks intense, right? We do have a little bit of a, bikini situation here, but I'll forgive it. Yeah, Super Shredder, he looks intense. All these silhouettes are really good looking. Raph, oh, look at that. Raph here is looking super intense. The contrast is really strong. I've never seen the size look as incredible as they do here. Look how long, and like these look menacing, right? It's almost like the Shredder claws. And then look at the little subtlety of this toe here, and the outline, just to get in that extra little detail, that extra texture. Looks incredible. Love these silhouette cards, I really do. Michelangelo, look at this goofy guy, right? Like, they portrayed so much character with just like the things they chose to highlight. I really like this card. Here we've got a bit of that, pizza in the background as well, and it's subtle. It's subtle, right? I don't mind it at all. I think it's really good. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Michelangelo is the biggest lover of pizza of all the turtles, so it's a little nod to him. Dark Leo and Shredder, man, I think this art is like the complete package. I like the other art. I think the posing of Dark Leo in the other art was just incredible, and it felt so dynamic, but I think this silhouette is so perfect, especially in Orzhov. It just feels so Orzhov right now. Love this card. Krang, this is great. As I mentioned before, a lot of times when they have Krang in his robot suit, the guy has like hair like Homer Simpson almost, right? I can't really remember. It's like that, or it's like a little tuft. It's like a little antenna or something. It always looks goofy. So I think this silhouette was just an amazing way to draw the eye into Krang. Say, hey, this is your villain, right? And he is powerful. He is imposing, and he doesn't have a goofy little antenna or hair tuft, right? This is a great card. This is probably the best art of Krang in the whole set, for sure, no doubt. Then we have a bunch of the kind of like screen grabs of the cartoons. I think they did a great job on these borders, and I think, you know, if you're using the original content, I think it hits that, it scratches that itch for people and it looks good. And then otherwise, it's good to do really stylized stuff. This is my favorite art of Bebop and Rocksteady in the set. They just look like badasses, radical dudes here. And then a lot of times they're just kind of played up for a comedic value. But you can have both, right? You can have funny stomach overlapping, right? And these stutter shade glasses, but you can still have them looking confident, looking menacing, looking cool, right? So I think this card did a great job of that. Once again, I really like all these kind of cartoon treatments. Here we have the fractured foil. We've got like Mecha Donatello. I love this card. It just looks really cool. I love the fractured foil border. It's really nice. Turtles in Time. There was another art of Turtles in Time. I didn't think it looked nearly as good as this one. This one looks gorgeous. Super Shredder. Wow. Look at this card. This is so intense, right? It's almost like giving like One Piece or the more anime TCG. The next card I think is very like anime TCG. Kind of the comic book inking. It just looks fantastic. Love it. Yeah, Casey Jones. This is where it feels like a little bit anime, a little bit like One Piece kind of. And that's not a dig. I love the One Piece game, the card game, the anime. It's all badass in my books. But yeah, this one, it's definitely giving like Japanese TCG, but in a really cool way. When it has the fractured foil border, that kind of plays into it too. I think this is kind of like my last little section, but it's all these rooftop lands. I just think these rooftop lands are hitting, right? Why would I talk about the pizza lands that everybody seems to despise? I don't care for them much either. Why would I waste my breath on that when I can talk about these lands? This plains is absolutely incredible. This island is absolutely incredible. Like, I love it. I was talking about the rain on the other Shredder card, how a lot of times the rain just goes in one direction. But look, the rain is also going with the direction that they're jumping, right? These things are on purpose, right? We could have angled the rain like this, a sharper angle, right? But look at the parallel line between the leg, the angle of the jump, and that rain. You can tell these artists know exactly what they're doing. I love this swamp, right? And oh, wow, look at these colors. Those pinks and that like pale yellow into the green. It's so luminescent, just perfect. This mountain, like I said, the water tower. Is there really this many water towers in New York City? I don't know, but they're always in these cityscape arts. But I'm not detracted from the art. Look at the perspective on these buildings. The vanishing point is like right here, right? So we've got this main building that everything is kind of vanishing towards. All these lines draw our eyes into there. And that is telling me that this art is kind of featuring Donatello, right? This is him. He's got his bow staff, and I think he's probably got the most interesting pose out of all the turtles. We've got a goofy one of Michelangelo here, of course, but yeah, really cool. And that's it for the turtle cards that I love the most. I think that the set, it may not be for everyone, and I think maybe not every card is for everyone either, right? There is lots of beautiful art in this set, though. Lots of cards I would gladly play besides my in-universe cards. Lots of great art that's been done for this set, and like I've said throughout the video, I think if you go very stylized, I think that's a lot more palatable for Magic artists. There's also kind of a cognitive dissonance between people who are familiar with the show or the comics or certain parts of the Turtles art, and when you get people who may not be working with a lot of the style guide, a lot of the creative minds of the IP, that you may stray into kind of a more generic territory, and I think that we lose a little bit of the IP's brilliance when we do that. Finding artists with really strong styles who have a passion for the IP and letting them work in their styles really creates magic. I also think utilizing the artists that are, employed in the IP and have done lots of work for the IP is another strong route to go. We learned with the Avatar set that relying on screen grabs, especially low quality screen grabs, is not the way to go. I think using source material is a great way to go with Versus Beyond, but the source material you choose has to have really high definition. Anyways, that was my video of my favorite cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This has been Bastion Altars. If you made it all the way through this video, wow, congrats. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in Magic the Gathering altars or talking about the art at all, give me a subscribe, give me a like, and stay tuned for more. Have a radical day.